Hi everybody. In a previous video, I asked if anybody could help me identify what disc that I bought. I had some responses, 252, 253, 263, but nobody was really sure. So today, you're going to find out what it is. And what did I do with my old disc? You're going to see that as well. So I got a lot of comments. Most people said they didn't know what it was. They hoped that I could find out. The serial tag, model number is missing on this disc, and there's no identification at all of what it is. So there were comments that maybe it was a 252, 253, 263. Even a couple of the Oliver experts told me what their thoughts were. Chris Losey being one of them, and Ross, the Oliver man, being another. As I recall, they both thought it was a 252. I have no idea. So anyway, a fella on another social media sent me a set of charts which tells me that this is a 253 disc. Now, the other question that I had in that video is, would my 3020 pull this with the wings up? Well, we took it out and tested it first on wheat stubble with the wings up and set it down just as deep as it would go, and here's the result. After doing that, I wished I would have set the wings down, because I really think the 3020 had no problem at all on wheat stubble, but I didn't. So the next thing that we did was we went on some freshly worked ground. This was in my plow day video that I worked up some ground just to make sure I had my plow tuned up, and wings up, set her all the way down, and it made her snort, but she pulled it just fine. My grandson Adam was out watching, and I had to let him have a little tractor time, so I put him behind the wheel and let him make a pass. The last thing that I tried it on was some of my Sandier soil, where also I had previously plowed, and it wasn't having it. I had to put the wings were up on all of these, of course, but I had to raise the tires up and get it up out of that sand. It just was too hard for the 3020 to pull it. My end of the testing, 3020 will pull this just fine on both wheat stubble and also freshly worked ground, and that's what I intended it for to do. I've decided to leave the wings on. Had a comment or two. People said, why don't you leave the wings on, keep it intact? And you're right. So speaking of intact, that brings us to the question of what did I do with my old Oliver 252? Well, it's getting repurposed, and I'm going to show you where that's going and what we're doing with it. My oldest son wanted a disc to be able to work up his garden and food plot. So the hitch and the back gang is going to go to him. Chris and I completely disassembled this disc, and we're going to repurpose it. If my son wants a second gang, he can have any of these other ones too. My brother Mark, he wanted one for the same purpose. So the gangs are all spoken for. They're busted up and they're loose, but you know, I'm sure that they can make them do for whatever they want. And then I started saving some of the other pieces. Those gussets right there are going to be handy for the bottom of a project that we're going to make, which I'll show you here in just a minute. Have no idea what some of this other stuff will be good for. If nothing else, scrap maybe. Perhaps that adjusting handle would work well for my son to be able to adjust the angle of discs. And then this pile right here, covered with snow. Well, I can't get all the snow off of it right now. But anyways, this is all the rest of the disc. The big C-channel, there's angle iron in there, and there's also wheel bearings. If I can figure out how to put a picture of this in this video, I'll include it here. And we're going to make a welding table out of that, and those gussets will be on the underside of the welding table, and then of course on the top we are planning on putting a 1/2-inch steel plate on it. So this whole disc is not going to the salvage yard. It's going to be repurposed. We will repaint this welding table Oliver green. I'll come up with some decals and put Oliver 252 on it. And I got this disc from a family friend who was a doctor, a veterinarian. Dr. Bosworth is what we called him. My son suggested that he takes the welder and welds Doc on it somewhere. I don't know, it's a nice idea. And with that, I want to thank you all for following along and watching. I also want to make mention that we just hit over 400 subscribers. In fact, last I looked, we were like 423. I want to thank everybody that's a subscriber, everybody that watches. Thank you to the new subscribers. And so with that, I'm going to wrap it up, call it a video from cold South Central Michigan. You all take care, and God bless.